Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Iron Spider, which is a Spider-Man figure. And some people are saying this is the best Marvel Legends ever. I'm hearing all kinds of buzz about this guy. And other people are like, yeah, it's okay. it's fine. It's a new Iron Spider. There's nothing terrible about it, but it doesn't really do it for me. And then, of course, those two groups are fighting because that's what the internet is good for. I'm going to just review it as if I don't have a preference, because I don't. I couldn't care less either way. And I'm just going to tell you guys what I can see about the figure, and then I'll give you my thoughts, and you guys can do what you want with that information. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand so we can take a closer look. Alrighty, before we get into the figure, I just want to do a quick question of the day. We're going to just do it right off the bat because the package is already here, and I tend to set it too far away to get conveniently in the middle of the review. For those of you who are on board with this style of packaging, I'm not even going to debate whether or not it's just a cost-saving feature rather than something that's supposed to be very green for the planet or whatever. I don't care about that. If you're on board with this windowless packaging, are you okay with the way they're doing it, or do you think they're incredibly ugly? For me, they're incredibly ugly. This image right here would make a better front of the box. Just give us a neutral stance. That looks so much better. Like, that looks better than the actual figure, I think, too. But still, this looks horrible. Comic art, I'd be okay with that even. A nice pose, that's fine too. But this makes it look super goofy, and I haven't seen a figure from Hasbro that comes in the windowless packaging that doesn't have a goofy front. Also, I think they need to just redesign the packaging if they're going to do this. It's still designed like it's a windowed box, but then they just have this goofy graphics and stuff, and it just looks bad. I don't like it. If you like it, cool, let me know. That's a question of the day. Go ahead and comment about that. Alright. Enough about the packaging. Let's do a quick height comparison, height measurement and comparison. He's about 6.5 inches, which makes him pretty close to 16.5 centimeters. And if you want to compare him against the true greatest Marvel Legends figure there is, they're about the same size, almost exactly the same height. Okay, we're gonna do a second question of the day. If you're an Iron Spider fan, were you a fan before his MCU debut, or did you like him only because of that? For me, I'm not a fan of the MCU design, honestly. I think it's just too much, a little bit too garish. I think the red and gold is a bit much too, but at least it makes sense because it's the whole Iron thing. Iron Man is red and gold, so it works. I prefer this design. I liked it more in this look than I did in the MCU. That's my take. Alright, let's talk about the aesthetics on this guy. First thing I'll do is talk about the proportioning. It is better than most figures, but it's got some stuff still, and we're going to talk about it. So, we'll get to the paint and coloring in a second. That's a bigger deal, but the proportioning, like I said, it is better. Shoulders are wider than the hips. That's a good thing. The neck is still really tall, and the head is fairly large, and he's fairly underdeveloped muscularly. He's supposed to be lean, but not skinny and small, and it just doesn't capture the comic look very well, in my opinion, and I would argue that's just the case, but hey, you can say it does if you want to, but I'll post reference images that support what I'm saying. It's just so underwhelming. His thighs are very short and small. He's got a big thigh gap, big crotch gap. His legs are very tubular, very little definition in there. Like, there is musculature, but they tend to put their muscles front to back only on legs. Like, the calves are very, very thick this way, but this way they're very small. And then the thighs are just underwhelming altogether. This guy, all Marvel Legends skip leg day. The arms are okay. The shoulders are slightly bigger than we're used to seeing, so that's a good thing. But the chest is still very small. Sideways and front to back, he's a very flat figure. And I think you could get away with that if you had the right shapes sideways. But it's still just very... It still looks like cosplay. It looks like fancy cosplay in this case, but still cosplay. Not a big fan. This is okay. It's one of their better ones lately, but it still doesn't have that... This is a comic book character feel. It has a... This is based on a comic book character, but they didn't really make it look like it kind of feel to me. So that's about the proportioning. Now, as far as the coloration goes, it's glossy. It's so shiny. The red plastic for the limbs and head is so shiny and basically not metallic. And then the torso plastic and the crotch plastic is a little bit less shiny and very metallic. They're not the same color. The torso is entirely different than the legs, the arms, and the head. All the PVC parts are just glossy burgundy red. And then, or brick red. It's not really brick red. Which leads me to the other thing. I don't think the red's the right color. I don't think it should be that purpley. It's very purpley. The gold parts, which are painted, are pretty nice. I'll take that gold. The molded gold parts are very underwhelming. They're not very metallic. They don't have any real saturation to them. pretty disappointing. I like that they sculpted the spider parts and it's painted very clean. That's wonderful, but that's it for paint. There's no paint on this guy anywhere. He's just glossy, wrong color red plastic, slightly glossy, shiny, metallic wrong color red plastic, and then dull gold plastic. With just a touch of paint. So to me, like, okay, let's say this is the best Marvel Legends figure ever. Let's just use that argument. Is it good enough still? Does that make it good enough? I would argue for $28, $27, whatever this thing costs. They keep changing like by $1, and I don't know what's going on. Some of them cost more, some cost less. Let's say it's $27. Let's say it's even $25. Is that good enough? Nope. Not in my opinion. I can't figure out how this is worth 25 bucks. Not even close. So for me, the aesthetic is fine. It's better than most recent releases at least, but it's still just not good enough. It's not. I'll give it a generous, super generous 7 out of 10. I want my comic book characters to look like the comic book characters. That's it. I don't want them to look like real people dressed as comic book characters. That's not what comics are. I mean, I know they're trending that way. That's not what I want, and that's not what I think most people want. So, disappointing. Speaking of disappointing, let's jump into the accessories. We're not going to count the legs, the spider legs, because those are really what makes him who he is. Those are body parts as far as I'm concerned. So, accessory-wise, we get the 2 fist hands and 2 whipping hands, and that's it. Also not enough. That is not enough. Most Marvel Legends are reused parts with slightly different paint jobs and a new head. They should have enough budget to give us a couple accessories, something worthwhile. These skinny legs, not enough to make up for it if you ask me, especially considering their articulation is so terrible. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. I'll get to these in a second, because it is terrible, but also it's kind of reasonable at the same time, so we'll talk. Okay, so the head, we're back to using the hinge instead of the double ball pegs. So it dislocates the head from the neck, and it can look up nicely, but that's only going to look good if you are looking directly like this. That looks fine. Any other angle and it's weird. He does look down all the way. Again, that looks weird because you get the neck lump and the head going the way it's going. But it does have the range. Side to side is fine. A little bit of lollipop so you get a little bit of attitude. But yeah, the big head, the super weird jawline. Like he's got jaws that stick out, jaw sides, whatever you call those, that stick out in a weird way. I just don't get why new figures, brand new molds are so weird. Brand new molds should be a perfect opportunity for Hasbro to really shine. They're investing in a new mold anyway. Do it at, like, all out. Just go all out on that mold because the sculpt has to be sculpted anyway. It's just so strange to me. Okay, so the shoulders are on butterfly joints that don't butterfly very much, like at all going forward. There's virtually zero range. So we have a messed up chest sculpt for virtually zero range going forward. Going back, you get a little. Like, it's not worth it. My opinion, and you guys can tell me if you disagree, because this is an opinion thing. For some of you, it might be fine. Any amount of extra range is worth it, and that's a valid argument. It's totally up to you. For me, this kind of range right here is not worth destroying the sculpt. I want the sculpt if this is the only range I get. Like, that's not gonna really do much for me at all. So you guys let me know how you feel about that. Terrible butterfly joint. Shoulders work nicely. They go up slightly better than horizontal. You get your full rotation, no problems there. Bicep swivel's fine. Double jointed elbow gives you good range, no issues there. Elbows and knees don't match the limbs again, by the way. That's getting fun. Wrists, swivel, and hinge. That's all standard. Ab crunch on this guy. Terrible. One notch back. Dislocated. Like, it looks like somebody collapsed his rib cage. What the hell? Holy crap. I didn't even realize it was that bad. Like, I looked at it ahead of time. I was like, oh, it's crap again. I didn't realize it was that bad until I got it on camera. It looked like he was punched right here, headbutted right there, and just collapsed his xiphoid process right through the back of his body. It looks so goofy. And it's only one notch. Okay, let's see how it goes forward. So that's... maybe it's, like, technically 2 notches, but not really. It kind of doesn't have a full notch on the back, so it's like a notch and a half. Alright, so that's neutral. How far does it go forward? One little notch. And like a forced other notch, but it doesn't actually click. So he bends all the way forward at least, so I'll give you that. Okay, that's weird that they're having trouble with ab crunches. Just do away with them. Waist twist is a waist twist. We still get the really bulbous obliques. Very, very bulbous. That's shockingly weird looking. Okay, hips. Going forward, they go pretty far forward. They go up a little bit better than horizontal, but it does kick them out to the side some. I'd say that's okay. Just a touch going backwards. Going out to the side, a little better than 45 degrees. They're still having trouble here. My goodness. Why? He should be able to do the splits, period. Just do the splits. Make him be able to do the splits, especially for Spider-Man. There's no reason not to. Move the ball peg out farther. And that's it. It's that easy. Boop. It would work. Oh my goodness. Okay, thigh swivel is a thigh swivel, of course. Double jointed knees, miscolored double jointed knees. They're okay. Lower legs are too long for the upper legs again. We're back to that. Shin swivel is hidden behind the gold. That's fine. If you like that, that's good. Doesn't hurt to be there. Foot goes all the way back and pretty far forward. And the ankle rocker is solid. You don't even need this rotation, but it definitely doesn't hurt. So that's fine. The legs are good-ish, other than the hips. So articulation, not counting these things, it's a 7. It's not impressive. It's fine. But for being a brand new mold for Spider-Man, it should be like the best yet. Seems to be a trend that brand new molds for Spider-Man are not, in fact, the best yet. Why is the butterfly joint worthless? Why? Why is he not able to do the splits? Why is his ab crunch terrible? Just why? Big questions for me. Okay, so yeah, I'll give it a 7 for articulation. Let's talk about these guys and their articulation. They all have a socket, of course, so they can rotate around the socket. It's slightly ratcheted. They seem to be able to hold up just fine. They have a swivel hinge right here, so you have the swivel and the hinge right there. You get one after the first bend. The first bend is fixed. You get the same joint right here, another hinge, and it technically can swivel, but I don't know that you would want to. Like, it definitely is able to do it, but I don't think it's meant to necessarily, and I don't think you would want to. So you get a hinge right there. Then we skip this one, and we get a hinge up here. So you get 3 total hinges, despite there being 5 total, well, this one too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total joints. 1, 2, 3 hinges. It's enough, I guess. But also it's not, because I would like them to be articulated at the articulation points on the sculpt. So it's fine. Is it really good for holding him up without any extra support? No. No, it's not. The joints are not very tight. The plastic is fairly wobbly, and it's hard to get it in a good pose considering some of the joints are permanently bent. So it's definitely not as good as I would like it to be. They're fine, but again, fine shouldn't be the standard for a brand new sculpt at $27 to $8. So it's fine. Alright, time for the final verdict on this release. Not surprisingly, I'm not going to tell you it's the best Marvel Legends figure ever. I can point to, I don't know, probably 20 different figures across the last 20 years that were better than this one. Not off the top of my head, but I could make a list. I should make a video called every figure that's better than Iron Spider. I'm not going to do that. It's fine. I guess some people might be just tickled because it's shiny and it's a Spider-Man character and that's trendy, but it's like, it's not impressive. It's acceptable at maybe a $25 price point, but I'd still argue that Marvel Legends shouldn't be creeping past $22 at most, given the market, given the other lines, other brands, even figures that they release on their own, other brands from Hasbro, G.I. Joe, hello, like the Marvel Legends are disappointing for the price point by a lot. This guy's gonna get a generous 7 out of 10. For Marvel Legends standards, he's alright. Better than some, worse than others. Generally okay. And that's it. This was a long video for a really basic, dull, boring figure, if you ask me. And I'm sure I'm going to make people mad, but not my job to make you happy. It's my job to tell you what I think and to give you information. You can do it with that information whatever you want. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you probably should, because I have new videos every single day but Wednesday, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.